So where do the old devs go? Because, you know, we don't know, right? They go to the Elysian Fields, you know? That go to management. No, but seriously, I became an engineering manager, so I've been doing programming for a very long time, since 2000. And so I decided to give this track a try. But why though, right? Like, it's management. Well, a little story. I was offered to become a manager in 2008, and I didn't like that. I wanted to keep going with my development skills. And so eventually, I was ready because I wanted to avoid the burnout, right? Plus, it was just the right time. Once you have enough experience, I think it was time to try something new. But what is it not? It is not a promotion, so be very careful about that. It's a lateral move. It's a new career change. So you're not a boss. You're not a dictator. It was not to become a project manager. Don't like that. Nor a product manager, because that's even worse for me. I would have no idea. It helps to see what's ahead. So you have a mentor. You have someone to look up to. That helps a ton, because you'll be a noob again. That's one of the things that I struggled with the most and I had to embrace, is that you really have to, you know, start over. Your measure of productivity changes completely from writing code to measuring success in a completely different way. And so change is good. You got to embrace it, even though it hurts us, the buns, right? All change is good, but it hurts. The more change you have, the more it will hurt. Can you be a manager? I don't know. Could be. Yes, but as long as you know some basic expectations, specifically the type of management you're going to do. You're definitely going to have way more meetings. High communication is expected. Emotional acuity. You're going to learn a lot of new stuff, but a lot less programming, so be prepared for that. And you got to have a high-level vision of what's going on. Some resources, go to the manager-tools.com, and if you follow /manager tools basics, a great podcast series that tells you about one-on-ones, feedback model, mentorship, et cetera, et cetera. It's really good. Also, charity majors at Miss Tipsy in Twitter. If you search her and go for the manager's pendulum, she's got 2 great articles about becoming a manager and coming back. It'll make you a much better individual contributor, plus up your management skills. At NAV, where I work at, we're hiring for a back-end software engineer, data scientist, senior manager of data engineering, and VP of engineering. So if you guys are interested, and even this position is not something you like, but you still want to talk to us, you never know what's open. So come join us. So that's it. So I'm just going to show you now slides on my cats. Yes, I am an honorary cat person, so. And that's it. Thank you. No, it's good. Anne can take it.
Yes. Okay, I'm just going to talk. I'll try to be very entertaining. Okay, my name is Anne Nichols. I'm currently a QA tester for Maven Link. I have been in QA for about 4.5 years. And what I want to talk about today is communication issues that can sometimes arise between development and QA. It can be a very difficult relationship sometimes, and the reason for that is very simple. My job is to tell you that your work is not good enough, and that can create some contention, but it can be better. So let me get to my notes, and then, okay. So some quick tips for both QA and developers to sort of make this relationship better. So tips for QA first, so that devs don't feel like I'm picking on them. Help developers diagnose a problem. So if you go to a doctor and you say, I don't feel well, and that's the only information you give them, they can't figure out what's wrong with you. You need to make sure that you're telling them what your setup is. How did you replicate this issue? How did you get into this state? Use dev tools. Use error reporting tools. Give the developer as much information as you can when you're reporting an issue. Be careful with the red flags that you raise. I can't tell you how many times I have rejected something and freaked out and flailed and then realized I was just in the wrong environment or I was testing with the wrong user. And that's really embarrassing. So make sure that the issue you found is in scope of the code change. Make sure it's not an existing bug. Check production. And ask for clarification if you're not sure if something is an issue or not. Start a conversation. And then be nice. It is a difficult job sometimes to tell someone, I know you've worked on this for hours and hours and hours, but it's broken, so fix it. So just try to come from a place of empathy and understanding that we're kind of all in this together. And then tips for developers. It can be difficult in QA when you're not quite as technical maybe as an engineer. So help us out a little bit. Give us as much information as you can as well. Try to, what should my setup be? What other places might this code touch that I need to do some regression testing in? If I'm testing an API, let me know what the endpoint is. That would be really helpful. If I need to send a payload, what does that look like? So I'm not spending 30 minutes in Postman just like banging my head against a wall. And then give us time to test. It's quality assurance, not quick assurance. And there's no such thing as quick end-to-end testing. That's an oxymoron. Quality takes time to assure. So make sure when you're coming up with timelines that you take into consideration how much time it might take to test something. And finally, we're not just protecting the customer. We're also protecting you. QA is a second set of eyes for development, and we want to help you because we have to take mutual responsibility when a bug goes out. We really do care about you, and we're not trying to make your lives miserable. Maybe just a little, but that's it. In conclusion, QA is pretty cool. Developers are pretty cool. Let's be cool together. Mina Swan, all that good stuff. So that's it. Thank you.
All right, cool. Hey, everybody. My name is Adrian Kappel. And as you can see, if I move this thing out of the way, my talk has nothing to do with programming. And I was told that that's fine. So nobody asked, but here's how to level up your pinball skills. I know you guys are thinking like, really? Okay. I know you guys are thinking like, who still plays pinball? There are tens of us, okay, throughout the country. No, actually there's a thriving community of pinball players around the country. New pinball machines are actually still being created today in 2019. If you look up in the upper right, that is a Munsters-themed pinball machine made in 2019. 2018, they had like a Deadpool pinball machine, as well as like a Iron Maiden pinball machine. So pinball is thriving, and I was just gonna say, like, I want to be able to share my love for pinball with you all and get you guys some skills to take back to an arcade. So, yeah, honestly, why pinball? I could read off this long quote, but I could just summarize it by saying, I feel like there's no other entity that brings together software and hardware in such a way that is, it's just beautiful, and like it's got all the lights, it's got the sounds, it's got the hundreds of mechanized parts all operating together to create an experience like no other video games can't do what pinball machines do. So I don't know. And yes, there are books about pinball, and I have read these books. Why I'm qualified to share this guru knowledge with you all. I mean, I'm kind of a big deal. I took second place in my local tournament back out in Atlanta, so. Note the thumbs up, the mark of a pro, and just look how happy I am. Pinball can do that for you too. So I just, now that I've sold you, right? How do you level up? How do you get your skills on par with mine so you can take second place? There's two things I want to go over today. One is ball control, okay? A lot of people just walk up to the pinball machine, they start flapping around, they don't know what the heck is going on, ball drains, they're like, oh, shallots, and they walk on to the next thing. The second thing is knowing the modes. Pinball machines are all different. They all have like these different modes that you can unlock and get major points. So let's get right into it. Bad ways to have ball control, okay? Flipping both flippers at the same time, that's a paddling, all right? Do not do that because it's just gonna let the ball go right down the middle of the drain. Flailing about until the ball drains, I already told you guys, that's no bueno. And not knowing what you are shooting at before you take the shot, all right? You want to line it up. You want to take your time and get ready to shoot the shot that you want to shoot. So here's some gifts. The first one is called the live catch. All right, so with the live catch, the ball is coming down, and as it's about to arrive to the flipper, you want to flip just right, not too soon, not too late, that it breaks the force of the ball, and it lands, and you can cradle it, and now you have the ball control. You can take the shot. You have time. You know what I'm saying? It's all about controlling the ball so you have time to choose your next shot. The next one is the dead flip. This one requires a little bit of trust, okay? You see the ball coming, you want to flip that flipper? Don't do it, all right? Let that, let the force of the ball bounce off of the flipper that it's coming towards, and then it'll bounce over to the other flipper. Again, use that other flipper, flip up, and you control the ball. It kind of removes a lot of the power or a lot of the force of the ball as it comes down. Finally, this one's a little bit more, you need some strength with this one. It's called the slap save, okay? These machines are built to take a beating, all right? So there's no shame in moving them around a little bit. The way that you want to do this one is as the ball is coming down the middle, you say to yourself, you're like, oh God, it's going to drain. No. What you do is, as the ball gets to, right above the flippers, you're going to slap the side of the machine, and as you're slapping the side of the machine, you're going to flip that flipper. It's going to give you that extra little bit of inch of reach, and you'll be able to knock it out of there, save the ball, and keep on moving. All right, 30 seconds. All right, knowing the modes, it's really straightforward. Each pinball machine has its own modes. In order to unlock those modes, you need to hit different sequences of shots. These modes can range from like just high-scoring modes to multi-balls. I know sometimes you'll see like multiple balls all flying around the play field. You can do that on purpose. I promise you guys, okay? Just go in. Each pinball machine on the bottom left-hand corner has the different modes and the different ways that you can score points right there on the machine. You just got to take a little bit of reading. And then starting multi-ball. But hey, when in doubt, just hit the flashing lights and you'll be fine.
All right, I'm going to share with you how I found Ruby and how Ruby changed my life. I grew up in Payson, about 30 miles south of here. Spent a lot of time in the mountains. It's a great place to grow up. 7th grade, computers class, we started learning programming on the Commodore 64. I brought that home, get the Commodore 64 magazine. In the middle, it would have a game, and you could code it out. I'd spend hours and hours and try to debug it. I never got one to fully work, but unfortunately, they did not offer programming after 7th grade, so I ended up in woodshop and a 15-year carpentry career. Did some fun stuff, building staircases. Found out I have an addiction to buying tools. I was going to build a construction business, whole big empire, but then the housing bubble burst about a year before I was going to start that empire, and so I ended up doing a master's degree in information systems and doing a lot of BI and reporting. Ended up at Workday, which is an HR payroll finance business, a cloud-based business. I was a data conversion consultant. After a year of tracking what I was doing, this is a snippet of what's called an iLoad. It's an Excel way to interact with our SOAP web services. I found that I was spending 25 to 40 hours every time I built an instance of Workday for customers, just manually changing the same data in these files over and over. Like, I can't do this for another year. So I looked at ways to automate that. I found that you could also use XML instead of Excel. Started building out a bunch of XSLT files to make those transformations. Soon I had about 300 XSLT files and used this studio tool that we had for integrations to automate all those transformations. Got that 25 to 40 hour process down to about 2 hours, which was very good, but that 2 hours was still a bunch of manual configuration. So I went and bought this book and read it as I commuted on the train. It's very basic programming in Ruby by Chris Pine. By the time I finished that, I felt comfortable enough to try to solve this problem with Ruby and was able to get that whole process of prepping these files down to 10 to 12 minutes. That saved, over the past 4 years that program's been used, it saved thousands of hours, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars, and given our consultants the ability to deliver a better project and a better user experience. Used Nokogiri a lot for that. That also opened up an opportunity for me to go to a development position where something opened up in our office for that, and they came to me and asked if I wanted to come and join them, and I traded in my 60 to 90 hour weeks to 40-hour weeks, getting the same pay, gladly. It was great. But then that also took me to, we have our application layer is programmed with a proprietary language called Expresso. It's a Java-based, so I've been working with that for a couple of years. So how do I still use my Ruby programming? A few months ago, I was tasked to build out a bunch of web services, and it was really confusing to figure out how to do it in the Expresso language. So I was able to script those in Ruby and know exactly what I needed to pass in my headers, what my request body needed to look like. I was able to see exactly what my response request came back as. So I was able to work and not have it be a total black box. Some of my other coworkers that don't have Ruby as a tool, it was just trial and error, just more painful than it was for me. The Workday application, like if you took Ruby out of our whole company, we have 3,000 programmers, it's a huge program. Our application doesn't run on Ruby, so it wouldn't fail, but our ability to deliver the application would come to a screeching halt. Like, I'm always finding new ways that Ruby's being used within this enterprise corporation to deliver our product. So whenever I'm programming in Ruby, it makes me happy. Here's my other Ruby that makes me happy. When there's no fighting going on between her and her sisters, really happy. One of the cool things about Utah is you can go out to the western desert and there's lots of cool rocks and minerals. If I found a Ruby like that out there, I'd be happy. So anything to do with Ruby just brings happiness. So.
Well, we have a blue screen. All right. So, just pretend like I have all these great slides up here. I have, first off, I had wanted to submit a talk for RubyConf. I had a lot of crazy things happen this time for RubyHack. I'm so glad I didn't, because the quality of talks here has been phenomenal. So thank you all. Quick round of applause for all the speakers. All right, that's enough. So with that said, I've got 2 topics. I have 77 slides, and I have 5 minutes, so here we go. Topic number 1 is, why do we write software? Now, I'm scrolling through about 26 of these slides in 10 seconds, because they're all great gifs of devs doing cool dev techie things. But the reality is, I'm gonna fast track a lot of that and jump into the second topic of my talk. We write software, guys. It isn't about the machines. It isn't about the tech that doesn't work. It isn't about the phones. It isn't about this stuff, right? We write software for people, right? We write software inevitably to help people, to help them be more happy, more productive, more fit, more gainful, a lot of reasons to better people's lives. That's the real reason we write software, is to help people and empower them. The second part of my talk, topic number 2, is why do we love Ruby? Okay? We've had a lot of excellent presentations. Matt's especially, and Fernando as well earlier. That was wonderful. That's just perfect segue into what I wanted to talk about. We love Ruby because of the community. Honestly, that's the biggest draw. It's a community unlike any other. The community here is so powerful. And as many of you know, I've been heavily involved in the local Utah community here, our Utah Ruby Users Group. And I care deeply about it. About 6.5, 7 years ago, I started a new chapter of the Ruby community downtown Salt Lake. Prior to that, we had just Salt Lake County, I should say, and Utah Valley. And then around that time, it was kind of prime Ruby time. We had Logan, Layton, downtown Salt Lake City, Salt Lake County, Utah Valley, and St. George RB. Great community of people. We do have about 1,200 people in this community. And a lot of people have asked me, even approached me during this conference saying, oh man, I'm sorry I haven't been to the meetup lately. Or I've probably got like 20 of that. 20 people saying that, like, hey, don't apologize to me. Listen, that's not the point. This community is thanks to everybody here. This community is only as good as you make it, right? And so, so what do we do? You saw a cycle earlier that Fernando drew up. I made a similar graphic as well, but the whole premise was we learn, okay? We practice, and we teach. And it goes cyclical. His was very similar. We learn things through the community, we practice them, and we teach. And by teaching, we learn, because the best way to force yourself to learn something is by trying to teach it, because it puts you in this cram mode. And that's what our community and our meetup events are all about. Additionally, we benefit, we gain, and we give back. Follows those same three principles. And that right there is what makes a good community. It's like good principles of open source. You can't just leech the whole time. You have to give back a little bit, right? Otherwise, you're not part of the solution. You become part of the problem. You become part of driving the negative aspects of open source, in which everybody's trying to leech from it and not contribute back to it. You know, who here maintains an open source software? Okay, your favorite issues are, hey, will you please implement this thing for me? Right, because I need it for my business. And your answer is no, I'm a volunteer. Like, I'd love to. If that's on my roadmap, sure, I'll consider it. But otherwise, please contribute, right? So how can we give back to the community? The first thing is attendance. Attend an event. Attend a meetup. The second thing is volunteer. Promote it. Volunteer to speak at it. Instruct people. Volunteer to help organize or even co-revive a meetup, okay? So recently we just had our Utah Valley Ruby meetup get suspended just last month. James Thompson, are you here? Perfect. Asked yesterday at the end of his talk, hey, who here lives in Utah County and is interested in reviving that, okay? There's a lot of interest. People need help organizing. It is a volunteer effort. Right now, we have a few organizers that are doing a lot. I know I can use help downtown. I could use a co-organizer for, if I like rip my finger halfway off like I did last month, right? And need someone to step in rather than having to cancel it or whatever. So this is my final plug. I'm taking 10 more seconds. But I invite all of you, if you are interested in giving back to the community, in presenting and helping revive a Utah Valley Ruby meetup, to come down here during the break for the next 10 minutes or so and discuss. There's a lot of ways to get involved and help and give back. Thank you all very much.